Every so often I listen to the radio program Car Talk, which is on NPR, in case you're not familiar. National Public Radio is a thing here in America that is a publicly funded, nonprofit organization that produces content that is very specific to the arts. If you've ever heard of Garrison Keillor or Prairie Home Companion, that is where that show is housed. And it's not all hoity-toity, artsy-fartsy stuff. They do have game shows, and they have shows about things like cars. Car Talk is a show that's hosted by two brothers, and honestly, I don't even remember what their names are right now, but they go by Click and Clack. Click and Clack take live calls from all over the country with all kinds of weird problems. Things as specific as, I have a transmission in a 1982 Oldsmobile that is blah blah blah, and one of them will be like, I worked on an Oldsmobile and I can tell you exactly what's wrong with that. But then they'll also have questions that are like, how much does paint color affect how hot it can get inside a car? For the record, it doesn't. But every so often, a caller will mystify them with a question or a comment. And sure enough, I remembered one today. I left my car down on the street that runs perpendicular to ours, as I often do, because parking on our street is kind of dangerous. It's very narrow. Alicia has already gotten her car dinged, and I have a pretty new car. I don't want to leave it out there. And I'm pretty sure that my car has an auto lock function, like when you turn it off and walk away from it, the doors will lock. But for whatever reason, maybe I'm slightly neurotic, I always like to make sure that I press the little button and make it go beep. Well, I parked my car all the way down there and I walked the whole way up to my apartment and I realized that I couldn't remember if I'd made it beep or not. So I start pointing the remote down towards the street and pressing it, and I can't hear it beeping. And I know I'm not that far away from it. If it were a really big parking lot and I were trying to find my car, it should be beeping by now. So I remembered what this one caller said on Car Talk one time. They said that when they were having trouble getting their car to lock or beep or whatever from a distance, if they pointed the remote up in the air instead of towards the car, it would work. Now, as far as I remember, Click and Clack were kind of surprised by this and did not really understand the process by which it was getting a signal further. They guessed that maybe it had to do with the way the antenna was pointing or something inside the remote. But the best thing that they could come up with is one of the brothers said that every so often when he was on the couch and he had his TV remote in his hand, he would point it at the TV and it wouldn't work, but he would point it over his head at the wall behind him and then it would work. So maybe it has to do with the signal like getting bounced off of things and eventually getting to the car. But for whatever reason, it does work. And I just used it. So the next time you're standing in the middle of that parking lot and pointing everywhere and looking like an idiot trying to get your car to beep, point your remote straight up in the air and see what happens. You might be surprised.